Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Three Caribbean islands on shutdown as Tropical Storm Dorian approaches. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Monday, August 26th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Dorian is on Barbados' doorstep and the island has started feeling the effects of the first storm to directly impact the region since the Atlantic hurricane season began on June 1st. The national shutdown is in effect in the island, as is the case in St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which are also bracing for impact. Cloudy skies and scattered showers have already started to affect Barbados, and conditions are expected to further deteriorate as the day progresses, with pockets of moderate to heavy showers, periods of rain and scattered thunderstorms. Ahead of Dorian's arrival, the national shutdown took effect at 10 a.m., 2 hours earlier than initially announced, on advice from the Barbados Meteorological Services and the Department of Emergency Management. Only essential services personnel remain on duty, and there are no flights into or out of the island at the Grantley Adams International Airport. That has been closed. The island's sole hospital, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, has also closed all its outpatient clinics for Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And Prime Minister Mia Mottley called on the entire nation not to take the storm lightly and focus on personal safety. Ahead of the shutdown, Barbadians rushed to supermarkets and other businesses to stock up on last-minute supplies to ride out the storm. Some also carried out final preparations to protect their homes and businesses. The emergency services have been put on standby, and Police Commissioner Tyrone Griffiths says lawmen will be ensuring there is order during the shutdown.
We in law enforcement are going to be out, and we are going to deal with any untoward behavior that we should experience in a very strong way. So just appeal to Barbadians to be with the best behavior and to stay off the streets wherever possible. We are prepared to deal with any eventuality.
At 2 p.m., advisory tropical storm Dorian was carrying maximum sustained winds near 60 miles per hour. The storm was located 95 miles east-southeast of Barbados and 205 miles east-southeast of St. Lucia, and was moving towards the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. On the forecast track, the center of Dorian is expected to be near the Windward Islands late Monday and should move into the eastern Caribbean Sea on Tuesday. Dorian should pass near St. Lucia late Monday evening into Monday night and near or over St. Vincent early Tuesday morning. Forecasters say some strengthening is forecast during the next few days, and Dorian could be near hurricane strength when it passes through the northern Windward Islands, and be a hurricane when it passes near or south of Puerto Rico on Wednesday during the day and approaches eastern Hispaniola on Wednesday night. With hurricane conditions now possible as early as Monday night in portions of the northern Leeward Islands, St. Lucia has been placed under hurricane watch. It also remains under tropical storm warning along with Barbados, Martinique and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada and its dependencies, and Saba and St. Eustatius are under tropical storm watch. Meteorologists say Dorian is a small cyclone with tropical storm force winds extending only 45 miles from the center. St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chasney announced a national shutdown given that the island is expected to be severely affected by the passage of the storm. The shutdown began at 6 p.m. and at a press conference earlier in the day, Chasney urged citizens to stay indoors until the official all clear was given. He said the police have been ordered to stop anyone on the streets during that period and anyone who is out and about before the all clear is given. The Prime Minister reminded St. Lucians that the island was under a hurricane watch and urged them to take all necessary precautions.
Recent times have taught us that we should not attempt to model or predict the behavior of any of these hurricanes because it remains very unpredictable. We have seen storms suddenly change their track. We have seen storms and hurricanes that have strengthened considerably. In 2017, we saw in a matter of 7 hours that a Category 1 hurricane went to a Category 5 hurricane before it hit the island of Dominica. So we are predicting at this point that the hurricane is going to pass south of St. Lucia. Very narrow channel. That means that it can move either north of that position or south of that position. We're anticipating at this point that it could be a hurricane, Category 1 hurricane, but given that hurricane is not due to hit here until 2 o'clock in the morning, there are a lot of things that can transpire. So it is important that we take this extremely seriously.
Chasney stressed that only him and the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, could give any notices in relation to when the country would be reopened. He pleaded with residents to adhere to the rules and work with authorities to ensure their safety.
I look forward to hopefully weathering this hurricane without loss of life. Certainly, we are expecting the worst because the way that the storm is currently developing, the heavier weather is the north end of the eye, and the eye currently is 45 miles in size. So it means if it passes south of Beaufort, that more than likely the entire island of St. Lucia will be affected by very strong hurricane winds, and also, as we heard, rains. So we should all brace ourselves for the worst, and we continue to pray for the safekeeping of all the citizens of our country, the guests that are staying in our country.
All businesses and non-essential services were also closed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Monday. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said that based on information from the Met Office, the country would start feeling the impacts late Monday evening. He said he was advised that up to 6 inches of rain was expected during the passage of the storm. Gonsalves urged citizens to take necessary precautions to preserve life and property. He also ordered all shelter managers to activate their shelter management plans and to have shelters open by 7 p.m. on Monday. And with the center of the storm forecast to pass near Dominica, authorities there are taking no chances. Cabinet met Monday morning with chairpersons of the subcommittees of the National Emergency Planning Organization to discuss preparations for the storm. And speaking at a press conference after, Senior Met Officer Marshall Alexander put residents on notice that the island could be impacted.
The center of Dorian is expected to pass about 90 miles south of Dominica based on the projected path. This means that Dominica will be near the northern quadrant of that system where activity is usually at its peak. The public is therefore advised to make the necessary preparations for activity from Tropical Storm Dorian, expected to begin late tonight and continue into tomorrow.
And Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said there would be no national shutdown at this time, but he assured that preparations were being made to assist residents in the aftermath of the storm.
And there are some parts of the country that are more susceptible to these occurrences than others. And therefore we have, at the cabinet meeting, and the joint cabinet meeting with the National Emergency Planning Organization executive arm, we have mandated the Ministry of Health to do an inventory and an audit of every health center in Dominica to ensure that they have adequate basic pharmaceutical medicines at hand, especially in highly vulnerable communities, which are usually cut off from the rest of the country as a result of landslides. So we have also placed the police on alert and to ensure that they are able to respond to any requests for rescuing people or getting people out of harm's way, that the police is prepared for this. And the Ministry of Public Works has also been mandated, as is customary, to ensure that heavy equipment are placed and located in strategic points, so that, again, for any eventualities, landslides, roads need to be cleared, fallen trees need to be cleared, that we have equipment already stationed in those communities, and therefore causing access to those communities could be done much quicker.
Now, Skerritt said there was no need to panic, and he said that given the experience Dominica had with the devastating Hurricane Maria, the country was in a better position to handle and respond to disasters.
Not only at the National Emergency Planning Organization level, but I believe that there is a greater awareness on the part of the general public in terms of one, taking these advisories and these precautionary measures seriously, and also the extent of their own household preparation and preparedness for these storms. So there is a greater awareness on the part of the general public on this. So from a number of vantage points, I believe that we're in a better place now than we were after Maria.
You're watching Caribbean Newsline. Meantime, the impending storm caused 2 regional airlines to cancel several flights on Monday. Caribbean Airlines said it had called off several flights, including one from Barbados to Jamaica, and Liat said it had cancelled several flights, including service between St. Lucia, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Both airlines said passengers would be allowed to rebook up to Wednesday, and all change fees and fare differences would be waived for travel within the rebooking period. And as the islands brace for the passage of Tropical Storm Dorian, here's a reminder of a few steps residents can take to preserve life and property before, during, and after a storm. Here's Marie-Claire Williams with this week's Newsline Health.
The radio is your best friend when a tropical storm or hurricane is approaching. Listen for regular updates and heed the warnings, as they can reduce any chance of injury or major damage. Know your emergency shelters. If you need to evacuate your home, go to the nearest shelter as soon as possible and take blankets and sleeping bags with you. If you do stay home, stay inside, away from windows, skylights, and glass doors. And have disaster supplies on hand, including flashlights and extra batteries, a first aid kit, water, canned food, essential medicines, cash, and sturdy shoes. Fill up your tank. Be sure to confirm that your home and auto insurance policies are valid and that you have the appropriate coverage. Make arrangements for pets, livestock, and fishing vessels. Remember that pets may not be allowed into emergency shelters for reasons of health and space. You should therefore contact your local humane society for information on animal shelters. It is also important to develop an emergency communication plan and ensure that all family members know what to do. Secure buildings by closing and boarding up windows and remove antennas and satellite dishes. turn the refrigerator and freezer to the coldest settings and open only when absolutely necessary. Store drinking water in clean jugs, bottles, and cooking utensils. Store valuables and personal papers in a waterproof container on the highest levels of your home. If power is lost, turn off major appliances to reduce a power surge when service is restored. Marie-Claire Williams, Newsline Health.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister questions whether the Caribbean Development Bank has what he called anti-small island bias. Stay with us.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
I'm a full-time pastor, but I own property.
Okay.
So I don't touch the money. As a matter of fact, when the bylaws were written, I wrote myself out of the financial department. So I don't touch money.
So you don't get nothing from the church. All the money you make on the outside.
No. I get a salary. I get a salary for it because you don't work free.
Okay.
And you know, I counsel. I do counseling. There's different things I do. Then people who want to give something to their pastor.
Well, I heard that there's more to identity theft than just someone hacking into your bank account. You told me before that identity theft can actually land you in jail when you haven't done anything wrong. Tell us about that.
Unfortunately, that has become a pretty big scenario for a lot of people. And the way that it works is, let's say, for example, a thief has gotten my identity.
Alright guys, welcome back to Raising the Cage. You already know it's your boy Leon Norval. And right now I am hanging out with one of the artists who will be competing tonight in our battle round, you know, the most exciting part of the show.
Obvious, the muscle or your breath. Dog, don't take it personal. It's not my fault that you are not versatile.
My church pay your tithes. Jesus couldn't save with the money right. Insecure, disrespectful parasite. Now you get this liquor rasta fellow paranoid. Call me the monster rebel coming.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has accused the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, of having an anti-small island bias. He leveled the accusations against the region's premier financial institution amidst the ongoing saga triggered by the bank's decision to declare misprocurement in the Yarabakwa River defense project here. Now, earlier this month, the CDB said it had found no evidence of fraud or corruption in declaring the misprocurement in the project, but the procurement process was determined to be not in accordance with the bank's procurement guidelines. St. Vincent must repay funds drawn down under the project. Prime Minister Gonsalves said he was not asking the CDB to undo its declaration of misprocurement. Neither did he want any bad relationship with the bank or its president, Dr. Warren Smith. But he questioned whether the CDB official who made the decision on misprocurement would have acted so precipitately and not pay courtesy to call to the chair of the tenders board in Jamaica, Trinidad or Barbados if the project was in one of those countries. Jamaica's Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is going on the defense on the heels of a poll that more citizens believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. He says the statistics tell a different story. TVJ's Andrea Chisholm reports.
A Bill Johnson poll commissioned by the One PNP camp indicates that 46% of respondents believe Jamaica is heading in the wrong direction. 30% said it was the right direction.
So the fact that now 30% say the country's going in the right direction, if I were the JLP, I wouldn't sleep very well. It's just based on past history. That is not a good sign for them.
Roughly 2 weeks later, this rebuttal from Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark.
I can speak to the data that I have in front of me, and the data suggests that Jamaica has had 17 consecutive quarters of economic expansion, which is the longest period of economic expansion that we have had since 1996.
Unemployment figures from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin also formed part of the defense. Statin reports that the unemployment rate for April 2019 was 7.8%, 2 percentage points lower than the same period last year. In April 2019, the number of unemployed persons was roughly 105,000, almost 26,000 less than in April 2018.
The data, again, speaks to the volume of employment in Jamaica. There are more people employed in Jamaica today than have ever been employed before. We had over 100,000 Jamaicans lose their jobs in the Great Recession that began in 2008. And all of those jobs, in terms of the number of jobs, have been replaced and more.
The finance minister also pointed to reduced interest rates, low inflation, and other improvements in the economy.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says crime is a public health issue, and he says it should be treated like a disease that must be wiped out.
Question of viewing the level of violence as a public health issue, being that it affects so many people. It is so frequent and it is so now inherent in our population that we have to treat it as a public health issue. And last week, I was talking to our National Security Minister, and we are inviting an expert into Trinidad to open a conversation on this issue, which is crime and violence as a public health issue.
The TNT leader was speaking over the weekend in Barbados, where the two countries signed a memorandum of agreement for cooperation on energy development related to hydrocarbons that extend across the country's single maritime boundary. And ahead in Newsline Sport, the West Indies captain calls for introspection after the Caribbean side loses the first test against India. Stay with us. Sport is next.
I'm a full-time pastor, but I own property.
Okay.
So I don't touch the money. As a matter of fact, when the bylaws were written, I wrote myself out of the financial department. So I don't touch money.
So you don't get nothing from the church. All the money you make on the outside.
No. I get a salary. I get a salary for it because you don't work free.
Okay.
And you know, I counsel. I do counseling. There's the different things I do. Then people who want to give something to their pastor.
Well, I heard that there's more to identity theft than just someone hacking into your bank account. You told me before that identity theft can actually land you in jail when you haven't done anything wrong. Tell us about that.
Unfortunately, that has become a pretty big scenario for a lot of people. And the way that it works is, let's say, for example, a thief has gotten my identity.
Alright guys, welcome back to Raising the Cage. You already know it's your boy Leon Norgal. And right now I am hanging out with one of the artists who will be competing tonight in our battle round, you know, the most exciting part of the show.
Obviously, muscle or your breath. Dog, don't take it personal. It's not my fault that you are not versatile.
My church pay your tithes. Jesus couldn't save with the money right. Insecure, disrespectful parasite. Now you get this liquor rasta fellow paranoid. Call me the monster rebel coming.
West Indies captain Jason Holt has urged his batsmen to undertake deep introspection in the wake of the side's chastening 380-run defeat to India in the opening test in Antigua on Sunday. Now set an improbable 419 runs for victory on the penultimate day at the Vivian Richards Cricket Ground. West Indies crumbled in quick time on a flat pitch for exactly 100, their sixth lowest total against India. Now only number 9 Kimar Roach with a 31-ball 38 showed any resistance, and he was just one of 3 batsmen in double figures.
Definitely not coming to the party in this game. Yeah, we fell short quite a few runs. I think the wicket has been a very good wicket. Initial phase with the new ball is probably the hardest point as a batsman should fear. But I think after that, it gets pretty easy. Just not enough runs in this game.
Now, the Windies' defeat was their 13th to India in their last 22 meetings, and during that time they have failed to notch a single win. With a short turnaround before the second test bowls off at Sabina Park in Kingston next Friday, holders said it was important the team put the loss behind them quickly.
Yeah, we definitely can, but it's a definitely different dynamic. Things have changed drastically, and it's just a matter for us, to dig a little deeper. We've got to fight harder initially up front in our innings, give ourselves a really fair chance of succeeding. If you look back on this game, everybody who was successful really gave themselves a really good chance in front. They were down bowlers at least seen 2 or 3 spells before they started to expand. I just think it's pretty much going to be similar in Jamaica.
And finally, Guyana's senior badminton team had a tough night at the Caribbean Open International in Barbados. More in this HGP Sports report.
Badminton Competition International quarterfinals was played last evening at the Garfield Sobers Gymnasium in Barbados, and our Guyanese players all played their best against their tough opponents, and their performances were of a high standard. Guyana's Priyana Ramdani, who is the Caribbean Badminton Competition Under-19 triple champion, showed that she still has lots of energy left to reach the semi-finals and medal round in the ladies' doubles in the Open International. Quarterfinal results on day 3 are Narayan Ramdani and Priyana Ramdani in the mixed doubles, which lost to number 1 seeded pair and Pan American Games bronze medalist Howard Shue and Paula Lynn Ubana of USA, 21-13, 21-16. Jonathan Mangra from Guyana, who teamed up with Catherine Winter of Jamaica in mixed doubles, lost to the 3-4 seeded pair of Fabrico Farias and Jacqueline Lima of Brazil, 21-9, 21-5.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
There's a rock pile right here, so what I'm going to use now is a Lunker City panhead jig. This is a flat head jig, and you can skip it, and it goes right into the trees nice because it's very low profile as far as the sides and everything. It's a panhead, basically. I'm trailing it with a Lunker City Osmo. There we go, off the rocks, right off the rocks. Look at this. Oh my God, another smallmouth, another smallie. Just about 14, so yeah, it's an inch smaller. Then the first fish number 2, another smallmouth, just about 14.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
A recap of the day's major developments. Tropical Storm Dorian begins affecting Barbados, and St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are also on shutdown, with the storm headed their direction later. And in sport, West Indies captain Jason Holder calls for deep introspection by his batsmen after the Caribbean side loses the first test against India. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news on sports round the clock, subscribe to CaribVision.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv. Check out our YouTube channel as well. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching, and have yourselves a good night, and stay safe.